Hi guys, Aloha Talofa, Annyeonghaseyo, and hello everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel, the Alohahna View. I said that backwards, but it's okay. I'm running on a cup of coffee at almost midnight just to film this just for you, because yeah, I'm just gonna try to get in the habit of filming very raw, not trying to focus too much on editing, and just kind of being myself on this YouTube channel. But today's subject is going to be in honor of the Pacific Cultural Month Heritage Thingamajiggy. So don't mind me. Don't mind me. Don't mind me if I'm like on a coffee high right now, because that's honestly what we're dealing with at the moment. Let me fix this so I look more proper. Okay. And I'm going to be sharing my own little small background story of what it was like growing up American-Samoan. So, what was it like growing up American-Samoan? I'll tell you. Am I straight? Yes, I am. I'm very straight. Okay. Let's get into it. Alright, so to begin, I was born in Washington State, United States of America. I'm not going to give my exact location because that is confidential information, but I kind of gave it away just now. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Oh well. Anyways, yeah, I was born in Tacoma, Washington, raised in Washington for majority of my life, American-Samoan. My mom is Samoan, meaning just like me, she was half Samoan mixed in with a whole bunch of other European stuff and other just stuff. And I'm even more of a mix because of her. But my dad, I think he says he's full Samoan, but definitely mixed with some Chinese in there because my grandma's very Asian looking. Parents, father, majority Samoan. Mother, Samoan. They didn't work out, but I was made, and so was my other 3 siblings from the same mother, and I have a whole bunch of other siblings too from different mothers as well, but we love each other all equally, so there's a start. I'm not gonna lie, for a majority of my childhood, I was surrounded by mainly Samoans until my parents split up, which was around when I was 10 years old, I believe. Yeah, I was around 10 years old when that happened, or maybe I was 8. I don't remember at this moment. Coffee high, Nutella bread break. So yeah, I would definitely say that majority of my childhood, I was mainly around Samoans. So a lot of my influence at the time, even though I am American-Samoan, I was raised around a lot of aunties and uncles that were always speaking it. And then yeah, but unfortunately when my parents split up, that's when the Americanized side came out, or I guess the influence kind of took over, because I was hopping back and forth from different states because my mother remarried at some point. We moved to Texas. She wasn't really into the culture at the time. So yeah, we were just kind of American influence from, like, let's say from 10 years old up until now, because that was the parent I lived with majority of the time. Growing up for my teenage years or tween years, that's when Americanized version really started to kick into gear. Definitely after my parents split up, that's when the American influence kind of took over, because my mother, love her to death, but she is mainly Americanized. She was raised in the States. Mindset was kind of within the States. And up until recently, we've only just started to really learn more about our culture, who we are, and truly what we stand for. But like I said, just at the time though, my mother was mainly American influence. We listened to just a lot of rock and roll, lots of American music, not very traditional, even though, she was raised with other Samoans too. She never learned the language, so obviously that kind of explains why we don't know the language either, because no one really taught us, which was really sad. And that's something I don't want to repeat with my daughter when it comes to, her culture upbringing. She's half Korean and half Samoan, so I'm trying to do my best to teach her Korean because that's the language I've had the most knowledge with in the past few years that I've actually tried to learn on my own. So I'm going to start off with that and at some point move to Samoan. But anyways, growing up American Samoan definitely has its perks, but also has its cons too. I would say that some perks that came with being American Samoan is that we are very open-minded to change when it comes to different topics that might have been shushed about before in the past that really wasn't talked about within our culture. And for a few examples, some of this might be a little triggering to some people, but some things such as sexual harassment or sexual abuse that runs within families, at least that's something kind of brushed under the carpet and never talked about or discussed because it just brought a lot of shame, obviously, and I think it's just embarrassment to the families and the pride that goes along with that. But in modern generations, American generations, at least for us, we're being a little bit more boisterous, a little bit more, open to discussions that are hard, that previous generations in our culture weren't willing to do. And I really am proud to be a part of a generation that is not willing to stay silent for situations like that. So there's a perk for that. Also, another difficult topic such as mental health. This is something that I've been really trying to encourage within our Polynesian community, that we need to speak up about it and educate what goes on in our mind, when we go under different types of stress, different types of issues that we deal with on our own. And the thing is about the Samoan community, or even just Polynesians or other immigrants that I've noticed, again, they just don't like to talk about it because it's like they view it as something, as like a sign of weakness, when it's really not. Just as long as we're educated about it, what it does to us individually or even as a group, it's important that we talk about it at some point. So communication is key, and that's what I like about being Americanized, is that we have open communication about those type of topics. Another perk too is I found growing up American Samoan is to explore different types of cultures. America really is a melting pot. Different types of people from different types of places, different types of mindsets, and it's just so fun to interact with, I guess, different people, because when you're stuck in your own little box for so long, which, these immigrants are coming from small islands, probably have a lot in common, and just the discussions just don't really change. But when we're able to connect with other communities, find out what we can do to improve one another, or, to bring each other together closer, or, build bridges, I find that really awesome. But now we can move on to some cons, which, still proud of who I am, but there were times growing up, I'm still growing up. I'm only 21 years old. I only just recently turned 21, so still got a lot of growing up to do. But some cons in my childhood when it came to being American Samoan was I'm gonna be straight up, the body issues with my self-perception, even compared to a lot of Samoans, but compared to Americans, I just never was quite fitting in both categories, I would say, in terms of not just body image, but also just the way I thought. So I'm going to give a few examples. I got a lot of comments growing up that I was just way too skinny or thin to be considered Samoan, or oftentimes I would just get comments that I looked sick from my own family members. And then, on the other hand, if I went to like a doctor, American doctor, they would consider me overweight for my body, which didn't make sense because I was a pretty healthy kid for the most part. So, you know, I have one side telling me that I look sick, and then I had another side telling me that I was overweight. So I was always just kind of in this confusion gap, like don't really know where I fit in terms of like, am I like a healthy weight? Am I too thin? Am I too fat? And that's something that's always kind of messed with my head throughout the years, just because I was getting perspective from two extremes, you know, because generally a lot of Polynesians are, I want to say like, well, at least American ones are getting a little actually unhealthy overweight. But, you know, the ones on the islands, they're actually pretty thick bone, very muscular, and, you know, bigger than the average woman, I would say, from what you would compare to a Palangi or, but white person. Just the, you know, body proportions are totally different. And just having to figure out what category I fit in and which one was the right one just really messed with my self-perception for so long when it came to my weight. And also beauty standards as well. Man, I look tired. Anyways, another con too, which I know probably a lot of Afakasi, I need to work on my pronunciation, sorry. I don't want to sound stupid, but yeah, I need to work on my pronunciation because, yeah, it's my own language. So, you know, I always felt, again, like I never was able to be completely one or the other in terms of the topics I like to, like, or the activities, or even the interests I had, never measured up on both sides. So, for example, a lot of Samoans would make fun of me if I was like into K-pop, or, you know, if I like certain shows that were just, you know, like if I was into anime, yet everyone likes anime now. How convenient is that? I'm not gonna get into that, but just saying. I was into a lot of other outside things that most Samoans aren't into. I didn't listen to just straight up reggae music all the time. I like listening to 70s, 60s, even 80s music, you know, 90s music. And then I would even crossbreed to going to different cultures such as K-pop. Yet I get weird looks from them just because I'm not listening to reggae or I'm not listening to R&B. Like, okay, I'm pretty sure I can like my own music. So yeah, there is that. Always kind of being like somewhat judged for just going outside of the norm or what was considered cool. And then on the other hand, you know, with my American friends, you know, they were open-minded in terms of, you know, that aspect of my life. You know, they didn't care if I listened to K-pop, stuff like that, you know, because melting pot mindset. They understood that we live in a very diverse country. There's going to be lots of diverse music. One thing though I struggled to really connect with my American friends though was that their values, again, just don't measure up with the Islander values, which I hold dear to my heart. And that kind of goes along with the line of family, you know, respect. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a very special love within the family for Islanders especially. Is just very unique. And I know it runs in different cultures as well, because I know that the immigrants that come here, they have a very strong bond with their family. And that's something that I don't really see reciprocated in the American households here. You know, in America, you can easily just be like, F you, dude. Or just like, you know, people are willing to cut off their own blood just like that here. And I understand there's circumstances, you know, where it causes them to be like that. But that's what I mean, is that the family part of Americans, or the American lifestyle, is not cherished as it used to be. But something that the immigrants that come here still will always keep close to them, as long as they keep practicing it, you know, as long as they keep it alive. I hope you guys don't mind if I'm eating this toast. It's kind of gotten flimsy. No, it's not as good when it's kind of cold, but but I think a really huge lesson though I've learned from being a part of both worlds, being Americanized, but also, trying to draw closer to my roots, especially in the past few months, because I understand now why it's so important. Because if we don't pass on these traditions, if we don't pass on these morals onto our children, that's how legacies die. And I don't want that to happen for my children, I want them to know that we come from a proud country of loving people. They weren't always perfect, they did some messed up, weird things like cannibalism, and we're not trying to go back there. But in terms of the family and that dynamic, for sure I want to make sure it gets passed on, but also to identify the bad, horrible cycles that need to be cut off. And the only way that can happen, it starts with me, it starts with you. And if you ever have kids, but ultimately the only way to break those chains, we have to identify what we don't like about what's happened within our own people's past, and then to cut it off and then start a new chain of good morals again. I don't know if I'll ever go back to that point in time where mutual respect within the family is still valued and prized, but I'm going to do my best at least to do that within my own family and try to carry that on at least the best I can. Being American-Samoan too, this is something I've always discussed with my mother as well, but they're kind of like their own subcategory, just like being Asian American, African American. We all come from these other countries, but yet we kind of create our own culture when we come here as well, because it's a mix-up, it's a mashup of different types of perspectives. The melting pot effect, I would call it. The melting pot effect. That's what it is. And sometimes, depending on the situation, this could be a good or bad thing. It's either if we have a little too much open-mindedness where we start to leave back our roots, or there's a little too closed-mindedness, meaning that, we're cutting off newer change, or we're cutting off new changes that could be potentially better for us all. So we have to give and take a little bit and kind of still stay in the middle, stay strong to our roots, but also be open-minded to positive change that could, potentially take out bad things from all of our people's past. All in all, be proud of who you are, where you come from, stick strong to those roots, understand more about your people, and you have to be prepared for the good and bad things you'll find out about anyone's history, because none of us are perfect, not even our ancestors. But I love being Afakasi because there's a story to how I got here, not just through my parents, but from my parents' parents, their parents' parents, and to find out that I come from so many different types of ethnicities says something right there too, that these people were able to connect despite of cultural differences. They were able to connect despite racism. So when I hear about mixed interracial couples, I find that just really amazing, and I'm blessed to be in an interracial relationship as well. For as far as I know, he's full Korean. We have a very mixed baby, so I find that as a blessing. This brings more cultural awareness to our family, and whoever Sujin prepares to go marry in the future, if that's the plan, she'll have a very interesting story to tell about her upbringing. I feel like I'm doing an ASMR video because I'm kind of whispering. I'm literally the only person up right now in my very quiet household, which is very rare, especially if you're an islander, you know how noisy our houses can get. But I just don't like feeling like I'm being listened to. It's kind of creepy. I hope this video was somewhat interesting or insightful, but it was just me kind of just talking about being American-Samoan, so I hope you are able to like it a little bit. I don't regret anything though. I'm proud to be American-Samoan because I understand that there's a blessing on both sides of each culture, but it's our job and our duty to identify the bad things about each side and to cut those ends off. Pretty much. That's everyone's job, basically. Not just mine, not just yours, everyone. It's to identify the bad traits about each influence in our lives and to make sure it never happens again. As you guys can see, the coffee high is a real thing, especially when you're a little bit tired. I really didn't want to film this while I was tired, but I just wanted to kind of just it to be a chill video, nothing too like glamorous, because you know, that's just real life without all the edits and everything, making it just over the top. I just wanted to be a little bit more real with y'all, just how it is for me and what it's like in current, what am I trying to say? As a young American-Samoan woman, adult, you know, I still find it not challenging, but just interesting about the different types of Samoans that I meet, you know, whether they come straight from the islands or they were raised here like I was. There's still so many different types of perspectives and different types of categories that we can all be put into. I hope you guys were able to enjoy a little bit of my backstory of what it was like growing up American Samoan. And if you have any perspectives of how it was growing up in a similar way, whether you're blank American, let me know. Just drop a comment and let's just talk and have a good time. If you haven't already though, please like, share, and subscribe. Support your girl, Plumeria Han, because I'm trying to get this money. But also have fun with sharing about who I am and getting to know all of you guys. Go ahead and check out my other social media on Instagram and also my blog, which is www.thealohanaview.com. So you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Again, look forward to videos every single Friday. I will do my best to stay consistent because I did not post last week just because I've been working on some other side stuff, and also being a full-time stay-at-home mom is a job within itself. But you know what? I'm gonna keep y'all updated every single Friday. Yep, every Friday. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good rest of your night.